Alrighty, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. This view is a little different. I just discovered some different angles on my camera, on my camera stand, on my tripod. It's really, really cool. But we all look at the world through a lens, right? And that lens is usually what we've been exposed to in life. So I was like, well, does my audience that I'm trying to reach really understand the lens I'm speaking from? I was like, I don't really think they do. So I'll explain it to you. So, my grandpa Pitt, who raised me, remember my interview with Dr. Dan Rybecki? And if you haven't seen that interview, you should go back and look at it. It's really, really good. He's a very insightful man. Board certified psychologist, former forensic psychologist for the Los Angeles Police Department. If you haven't seen it, please go back and look at it. And we were talking about how we were both raised by our grandfathers. His grandfather was born in 1898. Mine was born in 1900. Now, I was born in 1973. If that tells you a little something about how I was raised. I was raised by a man who his thoughts and ideas were formed in the early 1900s. But I was very lucky. I was a very lucky child. I had three grandfathers. Three men who I call grandpa. It's my grandpa Pitt, that's my father's father, right? And he's the one that pretty much did the raising. I had my grandpa Wood. He was married to my big mama. Great man, great gentleman, good man. But this man had the roughest hands. Wrench stuff. His hands were like sandpaper. If you rubbed your head, it would bleed. I think that's probably why I went bald. But great, sweet, gentle man. Big man. Both of those, my grandpa Pitt and my grandpa Wood, were both big men. Humongous men. But very gentle. Very, very gentle man. And especially with the grandkids. And, I don't think Grandpa Pitt, Grandpa Wood, I spent a lot of time with both of them. I don't think I ever saw them ever once raise their voice to one of my big mamas, ever once. Very gentle man. Never saw them get upset or angry at the kids, the grandkids, which of, South Texas. There were plenty, but never really saw them get upset. They were very gentle men. And I look at them as men who were sweet and nice and just the biggest teddy bears until they no longer weren't. Like if you presented a threat. My third grandfather, my grandpa Allen, is actually my mom's biological father. So he's actually my biological grandfather. Love my grandpa Allen. His brother, my uncle Sonny Boy, my uncle Leroy. My favorite uncle of all time. Anytime he came to town, he lived in San Antonio. That was the gangster side of the family. So let's just say he had a bar in San Antonio. But he would come down, he'd give me all these nice shirts. Every time he saw me, he'd give me $5, $20 here. And back then for a kid, those were a lot of, that's a lot of money. But those were the men my life was shaped by. One was a hunter. So about my grandpa Pitt, that was the hunter. His older brother, who was only a year older than him, if you know me, I have an older brother who's just a year older than me. His older brother was killed by Klansmen. And my grandpa Pitt always told me, never be unarmed. Never, ever, ever. My grandpa Wood was the ranch guy. Never saw him carry a gun. He always kept a rifle over his bedroom bed. He always kept a rifle over the bed, just in case, you know what I'm saying? My grandpa Allen was the gunslinger. Let me tell you a story. It's a story about my grandpa Allen. Now I remember this so clearly, so clearly. And it's like, I think what we're going to do when I bring these guests on, we're going to do breakfast. And you'll see what I order for breakfast. I always order the same thing when I go out for breakfast. And here's the backstory about why I do that. I always order chicken fried steak with white gravy, scrambled eggs with cheese, and sausage on the side. There's no story behind the sausage. I just like sausage better than bacon, so that is what it is. But so my grandpa Alan's sitting in this little restaurant down in Texas City, Texas, right? This white dude walks in, young white kid. At the time, my grandpa was 72. Young white kid walks in, tells my grandpa Alan, F you in, and you're an N, and you're a boy. You know, I remember as a kid going to court and listening to this, the testimony. And Grandpa never said a word. He sat there eating his chicken fried steak and eggs and his sausage. And drinking his Jack Daniels. So if you're one of my lucky subscribers who gets to go to breakfast with Dan Dawson, I get the same thing, chicken fried steak, white gravy, eggs, I've already said, sausage I've already said, but I also get a shot of Jack. So the guy's yelling, Grandpa won't get upset. He goes, I'm going home, get my gun, I'm coming back and I'm going to kill you. Well, in Texas, we have these things in our little restaurants called screen doors. So the guy walks out the door, drives away. Grandpa sits eating, waiting to pay his bill. And the guy comes back to the screen door. My grandpa pulls out his .357 and fires one shot through the screen door, hitting him in the chest. Grandpa then, of course, put his pistol back on the table, knowing the waitresses and the staff are going to call the police. Finishes eating his breakfast. Never even said a word. That's why I am like I am. Because those men raised me. They're good men, they're hard men, but if you present a threat, you're a dead man. So I just want to give you a little background on where my thoughts formulate at as we move through this show. That way you know. So thank you for watching this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. I'm so happy and so excited because I found new stuff on my tripod. So thank you.